Now, another piece of news out of GDC that intrigued me was virtual reality. It looks like there's a renewed effort to get consumers on board with this technology. I have an HTC Vive that I bought when it came out, probably about 3 years ago now, and I love it. I think it is fantastic, but I don't use it all that much because it's very inconvenient to get set up. I have a thing set up across the room with the light posts. I got to plug everything in and get the software all configured, and it's not something I can just turn on and play whenever I want, although the experience is just amazing when I do get it up and running. Oculus has 2 new headsets that they announced release times for. The first is the Oculus Quest. Now, we've heard about this before. It's a self-contained VR system that is a step above their Oculus Go. So the Oculus Go costs about $200. It has basic head tracking, but not a 6-degree head tracking where you could look around your environment and look closer at things and have a more natural way to explore a virtual world. The Oculus Quest here will do that. It does offer 6 degrees. It's a more powerful self-contained VR system. It might be just enough to get consumers excited, I think. We'll have to see what happens when it's released. It's going to cost $400, but the headset will be all that you need. And then at GDC, they released info on their new Oculus Rift S. And this is an upgrade to the original Rift that they came out with a couple of years ago. This one will do its 6 degrees of tracking with cameras built into the headset, unlike the Rift that required some external hardware. I also have to deal with external hardware on my HTC Vive. So what's nice about the Rift S is that you can plug it into your computer, and then you don't need any other hardware to get it working. It's going to be a much faster boot up process, and that might be appealing to people that were getting a bit annoyed with their original headset. The resolution on this new one is not any better. In fact, it has the same screen on board as the Go, but of course you'll get better imagery out of the fact that you have a more powerful computer driving it. But there's really a lot of disappointment amongst Oculus fans about this headset. They were expecting something to have more resolution. They were expecting a better quality display. This one is kind of, in many people's eyes, an upgraded Windows mixed reality headset that Lenovo had come up with a few years ago. And actually, Lenovo is manufacturing this for Oculus. So that additionally added some criticism to the mix here. So we'll have to see exactly what it's going to look like when it comes out. I'm actually eager to try this just from a convenience standpoint. So I'll probably get both of these and review them. Oddly, they both cost the same, even though the Quest can drive itself and the Rift S requires a PC to work. So the pricing's a bit confusing there. And Palmer Luckey, who is the ousted founder of Oculus, is also a bit critical on the Rift S because he doesn't think the new Rift S is going to work with his eyes, because one of the things that the original Oculus headset had on board was a manual IPD adjustment, which would actually adjust the lenses to match the distance of your pupils from each other. That was something he spent a lot of time getting right on the original Oculus because they wanted to cover, I think, about 90% of the population with their product, and he feels as though this is going to make it work for most people, but not everyone. And apparently, Palmer has some pupil distances that are not average, and therefore he doesn't think this headset's going to work for him at all. He's actually got a very nice analysis of this up on his blog that you can check out. Palmer, since leaving Oculus, has been doing work for the Defense Department using virtual reality, and he's a very dedicated Oculus developer as a result of this, and he's having some frustration there. So check out his article. It's rather interesting. But that's not all that people were talking about from GDC. It looks like HTC has their own upgraded version of the Vive that will also incorporate camera-based head tracking, so you won't need the light posts anymore with their updated product. Hopefully we'll be seeing that one coming out in the near future. And then everyone was buzzing about something HP put together. They've got a Windows mixed reality headset, but it's driving a 4K display. So you're getting 2160 in both eyes, which is among the highest resolution out there of existing VR headsets. And this is coming from a major manufacturer. So we'll have to see what this one looks like when it gets released. It'll cost a little bit more as a result of that higher resolution. You'll need a more powerful computer, probably a 1080 GTX NVIDIA card to start with. So I think there's going to be some barrier to entry on the hardware side, but it's really good to see all of this renewed interest in VR because it really is good, and it just hasn't been easy for consumers to really start playing with, but it looks like there's going to be a renewed effort to finally make it work. And it's funny that all of this renewed interest in VR coincided with my reading of Blake Harris's new book called The History of the Future, which I just finished, and it's about the development of Oculus. You'll learn a lot more about Palmer Luckey. I was really impressed by how smart he appears to be insofar as the hardware development was concerned, and how really his effort renewed VR from where it had been left off back in the 90s to something that is really remarkable. And John Carmack played a big role in that story as well. This is a great read, and I'm not going to give anything away because it's a really good story, and it's a true story that's been very well researched and written by Blake Harris, we've had on the channel here before. If you're interested in the book, we are giving away a copy to a lucky winner in a few minutes. So if you didn't win, you can find it at the affiliate links here on screen. If you liked his book, Console Wars, I think you'll really love this one because it's a similar narrative style that really takes you through this adventure with people who are real but are also very good characters too. So I highly recommend The History of the Future.
This channel is brought to you by the Lon.TV supporters, including gold level supporters Chris Allegretta, the Four Guys with Quarters podcast, Tom Albrecht, and Kalyan Kumar. If you want to help the channel, you can by contributing as little as $1 a month. Head over to lon.tv/support to learn more. And don't forget to subscribe. Visit lon.tv/s.